want a Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea, Chippy Tea. I want a Chippy Tea. Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.
Welcome to episode 46 of the Chippy Tea podcast. This is your chance to eavesdrop and catch up and join in with a video call that happens regularly between me, Tony P, and
Danny D from Flipper Sweet Print Co.
There we go. As we catch up over the week and discuss what we've been doing in the world of screen printing. It's not limited to screen printing. We can go off on tangents, although we haven't used that phrase for a while, so I think it's time we brought it back. If you're playing Chippy Tea bingo, then tangents already marked off. All we've got to do now is think about going back in there.
I know how cover
Skill dilution.
I'll have to get that list again.
We will kick off this week as we recap on our screen printing, our life in screen printing this week. We'll throw it straight over to the most interesting one, which is Danny this week. What have you been doing this week, Danny? What have you been playing with? Because we've had a full week, and I've not really done much because I've been a bit of a lazy bastard. So, what have you been doing this week? Tell us about you, Danny.
Been printing hoodies, Anna. Been printing hoodies.
In this weather?
Yeah. What do you think? So I think I've put. Have you got ice cream van? Bit early.
Somebody's fucking singing.
I'm singing.
I turned everything off.
I can hear someone. I can hear music.
What fucking telly's on?
Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea. What a fucking car crash. Why do people listen to us?
Off. TV's turned itself off, or Dog's turned it on, and he's got kids' cartoons on.
He probably thought, well, it's going to be an hour, so I might as well put something on.
I'm going to chew his socks and watch
Plus me on now. Hang on. I had it hung over a stool here, so I can.
I thought you were all prepared for this, Danny.
I won't. I've just dropped it, haven't I? Right. So what I've been doing is printing hoodies.
Oh, white hoodies. Oh, they're even worse.
Ecru, however you pronounce that word. Basically
ecru
natural.
Hoodies, natural hoodies, or light-coloured hoodies in a print shop are like almost a bit of a nightmare.
Have you really? In what way? In what respect?
Trying to keep them clean.
Well, is that, yeah. Well, I have a
Now, you're not too
shop.
bad. You've got a clean shop, small shop. It's just you. You're always cleaning up after yourself. Imagine throwing those into a 3 or 4 auto shop that's just finished printing green hoodies, black T-shirts, sleeves, and you're like, everything gets covered in crap. But you don't have that because you're organised and professional.
And really small. As a print shop.
That's what she said.
I'm going to cry over that tonight.
A therapy session.
Yeah, I'll tell that to my therapist. So, actually, I don't really have that issue. I don't really worry about it too much. I can't say I'm a clean freak because it's impossible to keep a shop clean. You always, you tidy up after yourself on a night, but as you're in the moment, you're working, you've got pots of ink everywhere and bits and pats and fucking Rocky Robin in the background chirping away, and you just can't do it, can you? So anyway, these hoodies are alright. AS colour hoodies.
Nice. Give us a cost then.
Oh God, I can't remember.
Are they a £5 hoodie? Are they a £10 hoodie? Are they a £12 hoodie?
Closer to 20. Let me have a look. I shall tell you.
20.
I'd say 15. Let's just say 15 quid-ish.
Wow.
That's kind of standard now,
Is it?
I mean, the cheapest sort of hoodie I can think of off the top of my head is probably the All We Do Is hoodie. We do an All We Do Is college hoodie, they call it. And they're like 10, 11 quid or something.
Really? So the days of the 8 and 9 quid hoodie are gone?
I would say so. I mean, I
What about Gildan?
typically don't use them. I don't really like Gildan's hoodies. I might be wrong. Maybe they are a little bit cheaper, but I'm not a big fan, and I don't often get asked for them either. To be honest, I think they're a bit. So they do a heavy hoodie, Gildan heavy hoodie. I think they're a bit too fleecy, but I think the build of them, I think they're a bit too short. Sounds daft, but like the body length isn't over long.
All right.
But it's been a while since I've seen one, so I might be talking shite. But I typically, if I'm doing hoodies, so if somebody's coming to me and said, "Oh, we want hoodies. What do you recommend?" My sort of basic cheapo starting point is an all we do is college hoodie. They're about a tenner, and then I'll pass on the Stanley Stiller options, AS Colour options, and if they're into organic cotton and stuff like that, Continental do a few options. But all we do is college hoodie. That's the only hoodie that has like a big range of colours. So quite often, people look at all the other options, but they end up just getting that on anyway because they can't find the colour they want in any other hoodie.
Good colour palette.
Yeah, good colour palette. So this is actually a reprint, this job. And actually, the first...
Define the word reprint. See, to me, reprint means I fucked it up and I'm printing
Oh,
it again.
no. Yeah, let me rephrase that. A reorder.
Reorder, okay.
Yeah, it's a reorder. It's a top-up. Which is actually is an interesting side question. When you screen print an order for someone, is there I'm sure everybody does this different, but is there a set time period where you keep them screens, and if they order again, you don't charge them? Because somebody asked me.
This is a big question in the industry. It's okay. So you charge them £20 for the screens. The most common reply from a customer is, "So they're mine now." Then, yeah, I own those screens.
Yeah,
so if I want to
I've
go to
even
the
been
printer,
asked if I can have them.
Can I take them if you can go and print them somewhere else?
No,
that's not how it works. Well, I paid £20 for them. They're mine. Actually, probably renting's a better description. It's more of a lease or a rental than a purchase. You've got them, but for how long? If you go into a big shop, it's a blanket cost, no matter how often you order. If you order, you pay for the screens.
Yeah, that's how I do it, honestly. Every now and again I've been asked.
It's a blanket cost, yeah. But every now and again you'll go, "Oh, well, I ordered them last week. Have you still got the screens?"
Yeah, I mean, it's just like saves a bit of hassle. So go on then and knock it off.
The issue is, if you've got the screens but you charge them and you feel a little bit guilty.
No, because
it soon passes.
Well, it does. You get over it. It's like my screen fees are now just worked into the price anyway, so I don't really feel that guilty. And like for me, I don't really have keep a screen anymore or anything like that. I don't like keeping screens. And even when I used to offer that as an option, something like let's say you pay £30 a screen, but then the next time around you only pay a tenner. I'll still reclaim them anyway and do exactly the same. So it's almost, what's the point?
I used to tell the customers that they're degraded. So they're biodegradable screens, and they degrade.
They kind of do.
They degrade after a month. So if you don't reorder within a month, then no, you pay for a new one. And then as we get to the bigger shops, the standard default is not to keep any screens, but to remake them every time. So it doesn't even become an option.
No, well,
it's more of a setup charge than a screen charge.
Yeah. Well, I've simplified it. I found that the more you tell people, the more complicated and the more questions you get back. I used to have an artwork fee and an artworking separation fee, a screen setup fee. So it was 2 individual setup fees. And then I just thought, it was only recently I made the switch. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to tell you it's £2 a t-shirt. Well, not £2, but you know what I mean. Let's just say it costs a tenner. Everything, all in printed setup fees, etc., all worked into a single figure. Your t-shirts are going to cost you £10. I'm getting way less questions, way less hassle. And the odd person who does ask, I'll break it down and tell them. But I'm finding I'm getting less questions. I think people appreciate
I think
the
customers
ease.
changed. Yeah, customers now just want to know, what's it going to cost me for 100 shirts? Well, they're only £1 each. All right, so it's £100. No, because then there's your screen charge, then there's your setup charge, and your artwork charge, then there's the postage charge, then there's everything else. So you're going to have to give me £250.
Yeah.
All right, so they're £2.50 each. No, they're only £1 each. All the rest is just add-ons. No, people don't. It's like, no, you blow me head. I can't be asked with it.
And then if
how
a
much do I
repeat
have
order
to
is
give
this
you?
much,
How much do I have to give you
it?
and divide it by the number of pieces there are? It's as simple as that.
I trialed. I'm giving away one of my secrets now. I trialed doing this. So not only would I simplify the pricing and say it's going to cost you £8.25 per t-shirt, I thought, you know what? I don't like the 25. Round it up to the nearest 50p, or round it down even. Rounding up to the nearest 50p is too much, I found. But I liked round numbers, basically, in essence. So I would be saying to a customer, your t-shirt's going to cost £8.10, £8.50, never £8.73. And even though there'd be times where I would lose out, it's only fractional, it's only a little bit. I feel like the more simple you can make it, or the more simple that looks on a number, the quicker in their head they can go, I can sell these for 25, so I made £15. The quicker they can do it, the less time we've got a chance to deliberate, whatever, in their head, and say, oh, actually, no. So I feel like simplistic pricing, maybe that's a good topic, actually, something to consider.
Yeah, I think so. I think keeping it nice and simple, giving your customer a cost per shirt to them at the end. And then, like you say, they can work out either their profit or what it's going to cost them if it's a marketing cost. It's much simpler, and we are getting to be simpler. I see it
Simple
in places
people.
where trying to add the tax onto stuff, trying to put it in your head, you're like, oh, look, these are only a £5. Actually, the £6.10. What? Well, there's this tax and that tax and that tax. It was like me saying to the flights for Italy. The flights for Italy were £60, but I ended up paying £200.
Did you? Flipping
The
out.
actual flight was only £60, but then there's the taxes and everything else.
Oh God! Oh, so I'm half glad I didn't find an hotel room then, because I thought it would be not so bad. Nah, not really.
Find out. No.
Well, to be honest, I didn't look further away. In Milan, it's like way too expensive. The only option is I will have another look. I'll have a look after this now that you remind me, to see if there's any further away where I could just get an Uber or a train or whatever.
Yeah.
When is it you're going? Be Thursday, won't it?
When what?
When is it you're going?
We'll get around it.
Is it this week? It's not this week, is it? It's next week.
Tuesday.
All right. I'll have another look just in case, but it's not looking particularly likely. Yeah, so the old pricing thing, you don't see... I wonder how... So the old tactic has always been... Maybe this is just a retail environment. 99p. Everything always had to be 99p, didn't it? Because psychologically it looks less. But in my head, does that work nowadays?
£1, yeah.
Yeah, that was the old-fashioned way of doing it. And I feel like we've moved on a bit since then. And the psychology of that...
Yeah, I don't think we
maybe
fall
it's
for
changed.
it anymore, do we?
No. I feel like the more simple a number you can put in front of someone, £5, £5.50, whatever. I feel like that is more attractive than £5.97. I think. Like, to me, it looks, and it's totally wrong, but my instant gut reaction is that's cheaper and easier to understand and easier to deal with. I'll buy that one. But maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, that's something to consider.
No, I think you're right. I think so.
So I discovered something. We always talk about what is the best white, don't we? We don't always talk about it, but that's usually a topic that comes up.
It's a big topic. And it's a question I've had to ask somebody this week.
Oh, is it? That's a coincidence.
It is.
This isn't planned.
Because the long and short of it, I've been asked to use a certain brand, And for the life of me, because there are so many goddamn whites, I
Yeah.
forgot the name. I knew that there was a really good white made by this company, and I knew I'd used it. I knew I liked it, but the name just disappeared because there's been so many. It's like, they invent a new name for white every year.
Yeah.
I've gone
Yeah.
through the whole Stella range at one point, which was Nova, Supernova, Stella, Bright White, all these, Starry Night, and all that crap.
Yeah.
And eventually you stop listening. You stop listening to the names.
Yeah. So, what about this question? What's the best black? Because I feel like it's easy to fall into the trap of black's just black, innit? What difference does it make?
No, black. I've had. I think this depends on your sort of personal. What do you like in a print? So I don't like shiny black.
No.
I hate shiny black. And if it's a big area or if it's a small area, if I see a shiny black, I don't like it. So a lot of ways to get rid of that shiny black is curable reducer. Then you've got to deal with the effects of putting curable reducer in, and it just it gets more and more complicated. Then we have the black, notoriously, probably the wrong word. It likes to go last. People like to print black last. It's a key line. It keys everything in. It hides shit. And it brings everything together. Think of a Disney cartoon character. We print all the little bits of colour, and then right at the end we put a key line, a trap line, in, and it works really, really well. Which means that we can use any old shit in black.
I found that. I thought that. Sorry, I should have said.
It doesn't get touched by another screen, and the next thing that happens to it is it goes down the dryer. So 30 years ago, if you'd have asked me, I'd have said any old fucking black. In fact, make your own out of PC, navy, dark colours that don't have white in. And I've made my own black so many times. We used to separate our waste colours into ones with white in and ones without white in. And the ones without white in, didn't matter what colour they were, I could put enough PC, pigment, concentrated black into that and make my own black, cheap as chips. I mean, it failed wash tests and it rubbed off like a bitch, but saved myself £3 that year.
Yes.
But nowadays, the blacks are going earlier on in the print order. I personally like to put black before white to keep it nice and clean. So doing that means we're getting pick off or build up of black.
Yeah.
If you pick a cheap, nasty black that hasn't been milled to death and got small particles, it builds up every 80 to 100 shirts. And you just cause yourself a shitload of lost press time to save £3 a bucket. Yeah. And you think if you've got a 3,000 piece run, if you're stopping every 100 for 5 minutes to clean, then it's costing you about £4 every time you stop. When you look at what you saved in ink, you saved £3 over the whole day. So I now have different blacks that I like that are, number one, matte, number two, no build up, and they're a little bit more expensive, and they're a true richer black, and they don't rub. Crop test.
Yeah. So I had, I can't remember. It was I don't know, probably like 12 months ago. I was running out of black ink, and I thought, hey, I'll order some new stuff. I won't say what brand it was, but it was a little bit cheaper. And I thought, well, it's only black. What difference does it make? And if I understand, some blacks are glossier than others, but I realised I could negate that just with a bit of reducer and a bit of puff additive. So I thought, hey, I'll just get this massive bucket of black, and it'll last me ages. That it'll do me for a while. And I did, and I've been printing it for, I don't know, it could be close to a year. It's lasted me that long. And then last week I got a new bucket of ink, and I thought, right, well, I'm going to try out the mix opaque system because I'm looking at a new system, and I wanted to try. It's not Rutland, is it? It's the other one.
Union.
Union Ink mix opaque system. I've heard good things about it. I want to try mix opaque, but I'm also interested in the Rutland's. They've got a version as well, which are fairly similar, I believe. But anyway, I got this bucket of mix opaque black.
M3.
Yeah, I think Rutland M3. I think that's right. And I cannot believe the difference. So here's what I've been doing for the past year, and this is where I've realised there's no wonder my arms are fucked. If I print black, so these hoodies, for example, the black on them hoodies, the first time around I did it with the cheaper ink, you couldn't hit it once. You had to pull it a couple of times to clear the ink from screen. There'd always be a little bit of residue. And if you hit it once, no matter how much pressure you put on with your forearms and your elbows, when you lifted the hoodie off, you could see through it. You could see like a grainy texture through the ink.
Which penetrate the garment at all.
Yeah, which is no good to me. So I would hit it a couple of times, but then that ink would end up going like that. So you're losing the sharpness and a little bit heavy. This, the mixed opaque stuff, one hit, literally just pull your squeegee. You don't have to put loads of pressure on. It just clears the screen. So good. Jack would love it. And it's not Jack, is it?
It is, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Oh, it's Jack, I got it right. I'm getting mixed up. There's Jack and Tetley, isn't there? Murphy's. Yeah, so it made a massive difference. Look at him.
Bird's just flown past window. He's like, I'm having that.
I'm off. Let's go quick. I've got a fight to have. So yeah, I think I've fallen foul to the idea that just black in it. Black ink's just black ink. What's the difference?
No, it's not.
But it really isn't.
People put a lot of emphasis on the whites, and we all think the whites are good. Black. From a volume point of view, the ink companies love to get your white and your black business. The colour business, they don't give a fuck about your colour business. They want to get your black tiny bits, because that's what you're using. Did you do anything to the black, to the mixed opaque black? Because it's quite thick.
Yeah. So my worry would be it wouldn't print very well because it's thick. I understand it's thick because the idea is
it's almost a one stroke. It's designed to be one stroke. For a manual printer, I've got no problem with it whatsoever. Mix opaque, it's old technology. It does build up a little bit more than I like. But it is as opaque can be. The only problem is on an auto, I won't be able to flash it. Yeah, wet on wet, I don't like it. But you're not doing wet on wet on a base. You're doing wet on wet on a cotton, no problem.
Yeah.
But you're not doing wet on wet on a base.
Right, well, this leads me very nicely into a topic that I thought we should touch on. And I thought what we should do is break down the main differences between printing on a manual and an auto. Now, I'm not saying I'm expecting to land downstairs, but let's just assume it might be happening. And if it was to happen, what do I need to, what do I need to change in my methods and my techniques? Techniques. Yeah, them.
Right. Number one, you need to understand the theory behind what you're doing has changed for this is a good subject, and I wish I put some thought into it.
It's a meaty subject, isn't it?
It is a meaty subject. So what you've got to understand is the main difference is wet on wet and dry on dry.
Yeah, so that's what I thought.
Right now, all of your choices, decisions, these are made on how will the print look. Yeah. So I've got a big area of black. So you're making a mesh decision based on penetration of that big area of black. You're also making a blade decision, a pressure, how many times you're pulling it, according to the ink. But it's all based around how do you want the print to look.
Right.
We've got to keep about 10% of that. And now 90% of that decision is about how do I protect the colours before.
Yeah.
So it's all about protection now. If I'm doing a 10 colour print and I've only got one flash, then I know that 9 of those colours are going to get touched by another squeegee.
Yeah.
And so I have to protect them. And by protect, I mean stop the 2 things that we're most worried about. The one thing that we're most worried about is ink spread, so it looks smudgy.
Yeah.
And the second is ink lift off,
Yeah.
where we rip off a layer of colour. So
Yeah.
those 2 things are foremost in our mind when we're making the minute decisions that we make all the time.
Yeah.
And we touched on it last week. I can remember it because I listened to it yesterday. We touched on it on the main differences being the little decisions that we make every time we go to print and the window of opportunity that we get.
Yeah.
So when we're printing dry on dry, which is a manual printer, manual printers print dry on dry because there's no logical reason to not use the flash. It's there, it's in the printing station, it's not dead time, because while you're pulling the squeegee, that's roughly 4 to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
The next colour's dried. It's cost you nothing. In fact, it'd probably be harder to not flash it.
Oh yeah, on a manual, it's way easier to flash between colour. I've been wondering, is it a good time now to start forcing myself to print wet on wet more often? So this other job I just showed you, I did print wet on wet, apart from the white. So I flashed the white and then the 3 colours.
First or last white?
White was before the black. So it was pink, blue, white. No, I'm lying to you. Right, so I printed pink and blue, wet, on wet. Flash. Oh no, I'm doing it wrong again, mate. Sorry. Pink, blue, white, flash, black. There we go. That's what I did.
Okay. So, looking at that job on a manual, it would probably, the colour order would be different because I only get one go at the flash. I only get one bite at it.
Yeah.
So if I thought that white was going to be an issue, that's where I'd flash. And from laziness, usually it's print station, flash station, colour stations, print stations. So not to be lazy and not move my flash, I'd probably put the white first because my print stations are already set up to print white in head number 1.
Yeah, that's what you'd assume you do most common.
95% of the time, I'm going to put white in station number 1.
Yeah.
So then the flash will be in station number 2. So I've got my white flash done.
Yeah.
And the next 3 colours, hold it up again for me, please.
Hang on, I'll just get it off the floor. It's fallen off.
You've not still got weights balanced on that chair, have you, to make you look
No.
tall?
Hopefully customer doesn't listen to this. I doubt it somehow. Quite a big band, actually, so probably
we'll skip over the fact
shows.
that you're doing band merch again.
Well,
so
drop the prices
the pink is going to give me no problems whatsoever.
Now, pink and blue, and even white, because white don't touch out. You can print them wet on wet, and there's no real issue.
The pink is going to give me no problem because it doesn't touch anything. It's such a small area. So then second would come my blue because it's a larger area. There's a chance of it bleeding, but it's not touching anything. It's quite a satellite, and it's nice and blocky. And then black last to tie it all up. So the colour order would probably be the main thing that you change going from auto to manual. And the thought process is, out of those 4 colours, which one wants to fuck me today?
Yeah.
And out of them all, the black looks like it might be an issue because it's the biggest area and it's got the most detail
all the others.
on it. It touches two at least colours. So I've got to. I either put the black first and flash it. Now I'm introducing heat. Black. It's difficult to flash. It's not designed to be flashed. It's got no additives in it to make it flash faster. So it's not the easiest thing in the world to flash, although the black colour does absorb heat better than the white colour.
Is that right?
But then I'm going to drop colours on top and it might not look as clean. So straight away, black's got to go last. And now I'm left with the other three. So the white is the obvious candidate to be flashed. The pink is the second colour to be printed because it's such a small area. It's not going to give me any problems at all. And the blue might want to piss on my chips a little bit, but I'll control it with my decisions on mesh and my decisions on angle and pressure.
Yeah. So I think in conclusion, you would print. This is a really bad example. You would print that exact same order as I've done on a manual. So you would print.
If you did white first, I'd do white first because I can't go.
Oh,
backwards.
you would.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I'd do white first, and the main reason I'd do white first is, like I said, the machine will, in 95% probability, be set up to put white in station 1 and a flash in station 2. So from a laziness point of view, it would make sense not to have to clean anything, move everything, and change any settings. I would just print white through that first station.
So when we're talking about moving where your flash is, you're not physically picking up and moving that flash.
Yes.
You are?
Yeah.
Really? That's a thing?
Yeah.
Surely you can just put the screens in different positions and say to the auto, print head number 6 and pretend it's number 1. Can't you just do that?
Think of your revolutions. I only want to go round once. So once I load the shirt on, I want the next thing to happen as it passes in front of me to take it off.
Yeah.
So if I tell the machine that head 6 is the first to be printed, and if head 1 is the second to be printed, it has to go past me.
Right, yeah.
And what we're describing there is revolver mode or multi-print mode, where I can do that, and I can make any press like a manual.
Yeah.
What I lose is production time. And so, really, the only thing, if I use multi-print as default, which some people do, if I use multi-print as default, I'd have to ask myself why I bought an auto. Because all I'm really doing is saving my biceps.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling the squeegee myself. I'm automating it. I'm putting a little motor on it.
Yeah.
I'm just putting a motor on the squeegee.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having an automatic squeegee. You know, you sort of like you go like this, and you get to station, you get to your white, put your white down and press print, and the squeegee goes like that. You lift it up, you go right, station number 2, and an auto squeegee would come, and you're not saving anything.
I know what you're saying, but you are. It's still faster. Let's be honest. And
it's easier. I don't think it's faster. Honestly, I did a multi-print. We're in. Have to be really careful. We love to get banned, don't we? We're in this month. So this month I hate. I hate this month, not for the reasons you think. I'm not some sort of Neanderthal, although I am. But I hate this month because normal, regular blue chip companies. Normal, regular blue chip companies will change their single or 2-colour logo to an 8-colour logo to incorporate the rainbow.
Oh, I didn't know where we were going with this, but right, I see what you're saying. There is a bit of a.
You didn't know where I was going, did you?
I didn't have a clue. I'm just going along with it. But I guess it is so a certain time of year for those type of events, I guess.
It's this year, this month, the whole of June.
Yeah.
The whole of June, big companies like NatWest, Facebook, or Google, all these companies that would be quite happy with a single colour logo, now all of a sudden want an 8-colour version of their logo.
Right, yeah.
And it's a nightmare. And the reason I use this example is Indeed's an employment agency, normally straightforward blue. It's a lovely, it's either blue, white, or black. It's awesome. And this one particular time, they wanted 8 colours over a big area of a heart. And I'm like, really? Okay, so I did it how I want it. The customer said, no, it looks shit. So I did it again, and I cheated. I double hit, just double stroke.
Yeah.
So I've got 1,800 of these to do. So I don't want to cheat too much, but I'll double stroke. Double stroked it, sent to the customer. Customer hated it. What's wrong with you? It looks lovely. It's on a grey tri-blend shirt. It's got
Yeah.
one base on it, and I've double hit everything. So, what's wrong? Oh, we want it much more vibrant, like this sample that we got from America. Okay, show me the sample from America. And it was obvious, looking at as a printer looks at a print, every colour had been flashed. 8 colours. Well, I don't have a machine with 7 flashes on it.
No.
And so the only option I've got is to go around the press, multi-print. And I think I did base white. In fact, to get a really, really brightness, I got base white flash. Then don't print another colour. Got all the way around the press. This takes about a minute and a half. Go all the way around the press, maybe 2 minutes. Comes back to the base white, prints the base white again, same screen, but now on a dry white. Then goes to the flash. So now I've got 2 bases, and I've been around the machine. I'm on the second revolution. I did 2 colours flashed, 2 colours flashed. I then went all the way back around the machine, did 2 colours again, flashed, 2 colours again, flashed, and then the last 2 colours, which were dark, didn't need to be hit twice. So it was 3 revolutions of the machine. So that means 1,800 pieces should have taken me, if I start at 8, I should have been off by 2. Should have been done by 2, even on the most difficult, complex job. This job took 3 days. 3 full days. So going from a 6-hour job to a 24-hour job, my maths was put to test then. That's the difference. Now, did the job look good? Yeah, it looked fucking awesome. The job looked great. But it cost me. It cost me time. Now, the main thing was I had the delivery time, so I was okay. I had a long lead time. I wasn't under pressure. I didn't have to work day and night for it. I just did 3 days. And what I realised, at that speed, it didn't take 3 staff. Normally, I've got somebody putting shirts on, somebody taking shirts off, and somebody catching and QCing on the end of the dryer. What I realised was when I turned the speed down to 600 a day, I don't need 3 people sat watching it go around like that. First revolution.
No.
Second revolution. Third revolution. Oh, should take them off.
Yeah.
So there's an argument of cost there. 3 people. Yeah. 3 people for 8 hours. Or 1 person for 24 hours.
Yeah.
As long as the deadline wasn't creeping, I was okay with it.
So the job in itself, a job that you would typically expect to do in 6 hours. Did you say 6 hours? 8 till 6 hours. Let's say 6 hours for argument's sake.
Yeah.
The job in itself, normally you'd expect to do about 6 hours, but you did it in 24. So obviously the profit of that job is reduced quite a bit because the amount of time it's took you is reduced.
Only if I had it staffed with 3 people. Because I took
theoretically,
because
per hour you're getting paid less.
Away. Yeah, I mean, the argument is I could have been doing another job on that press for less money.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. Money. Per hour, you got paid less for that job.
Yes.
But
press time,
the wages you didn't pay, maybe that offset that number. Well, it did. It definitely did offset that number. You regained some of that profit per hour back.
Yeah.
So I guess it's. I think at the end of the day, a lot of printers. We talked to quite a few printers all over the world, and there are a small portion of printers who absolutely swear you should never, ever, ever use revolver mode, and you're a shit printer if you do. Well, that's bollocks because there are always going to be those jobs. There are always going to be jobs where, do you know what? At the end of the day, I've just got to use it because, listen. Well, you are factually the best printer in the world, and if you're putting your hand up and saying it,
got the badge that says it.
Exactly. So, but I think in my case, it's a. So, I think when that auto comes downstairs, and I get using it, I've got limitations. I've got a small dryer, and I've fucking done me nuts getting the money for the auto, the dryer will have to come later.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be running an auto which is totally overkill for the machinery. The dryer. It couldn't possibly keep up with it anyway. So I'm going to be using revolver mode, and there's a learning curve. But I think the best way to go about it is, all right, look, it'll get the jobs done, it'll get it out at door, but don't rely on it. Don't let it become habit. Learn, work your way into wet on wet.
Yeah. Turn a flash off. Be brave. Turn a flash off. That's the secret here. Is be brave. Turn a flash off. Because you know what? If you get stuck, you can turn it back on, and ain't nobody going to judge you, and nobody can tell. Nobody knows how many flashes you used. And I get asked the question, "Oh, we've got a second flash set up ready here. Shall we use it?" And I'm like, "No. Well, it's there.
No.
Shall we use it? Well, only if we need to. Well,
Yeah,
how do we know if
yeah.
we need to? Well, we'll try it wet, and if it fucks up, we'll turn it on.
Yeah,
So
if
you're
it's
going to use two
problematic.
flashes? Well, yeah, I'm not stupid. If it's there, I'm going to use it. If I've got a 10-colour press and I've got a 9-colour job to do, then I can't afford a second flash. I haven't got one. We did
No.
8-colour over at Timeless, and it's a 10-colour press. Now it's actually a 12-station press,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
2 of those stations weren't able to print. 2 of those were set to physically be flash stations, not movable, permanent flash stations. They didn't have print assembly in them.
What's the setup on that press? So it's got 12. It's got 12 heads. 2 of them are flashes. Where are the flashes?
So
6 and 3 o'clock.
we number everything. So we've got it's a 12-14.
All right.
No, it were a 10-12. 10-12. So 10 print stations, 12 pallets.
Yeah.
So obviously of the 12 pallets, 2 are open, 1 to take off, 1 to put on.
Yeah.
So then that leaves me 10 printable stations. Now on this configuration, and in all configurations when you buy an auto, you have to decide where you want to spend your money. So the apparatus, the motor, the arm, the squeegee holder and the controls is called a print head.
Right.
That print head has a cost of around about 4, maybe 5 grand. Now, there's a flash unit that sits in any station. You just lift the squeegee up and slot the flash in, or lift the head up and slot the flash in. So that flash costs about 4.5, 5 grand. So if you're always, 100% always, going to have a flash after the base white in station number 2, there's an argument that, well, why pay for the printer's head assembly? I'll only ever use it if I do a 10-colour white shirt job that I don't need a flash for.
Right.
So I'll save myself 4.5 grand, and I'll spend that 4.5 grand on a flash. So in other words, when you build the press, don't include the print head assembly. Just give me an empty frame. Just a metal frame, nothing, no control units, no nothing in it. And I'll sit my flash on there, and that's it, done. Well, you can take that to the extreme. I went to a bag printing company, and the smallest machine you can buy is an 8-6, so 8 pallets, 6 print stations. Yeah. And they swore blind. They would only ever print 2 colours.
Right.
So they had all the print assemblies taken out, apart from the first head and the last head.
Wow, just flipping hell.
So they bought the full 8 pallet machine with 6 available print stations, and of those 6, 4 of them, they said, just give me a metal frame, don't give me any workings, gubbins, any inside bits. Hell. And at the time, I tried to talk them out of it. I said, don't do this. Look, for the money that you're spending, you may as well get the ability to be able to print. And just take one of them out after the flash, which is, odds on you're always going to flash. No, there's absolutely no point. We will never, ever sell a bag with more than 2 colours on. Never? No. We've been going 20 years. We've never sold one yet. We don't intend to do one. If we get one, we give it to someone else. We're not going to do it. It's just not what we do. We print single colour stuff. Okay, and if it's a luxury item, it's 2 colour. All right, customers always right. And so they bought a press that only has 2 working heads on it.
You know what you should have done? You should have made a fake email and then bought a 4-colour print.
Well, they wanted another machine then after that. They wanted a bigger one. And I'm like, see, I told you. No, we want another 6.8, but can you put 3 stations in it this time?
Oh, God.
Because we're going to do 2 wags.
Well, so the next thing that leads me on to is ink. So there are certain types of ink that will pick up less wet on wet. What are the characteristics? What do we need to be looking out for? And I guess we've got 2 categories really, because we've got plastisol and then we've got the Magna range. I'm not even going to say water-based. I'm still hoping for that sponsorship. So we've got all the plastisol brands and then we've got Magna.
Because that's all you can buy, water-based or Magna. Plastisol or Magna, yeah. So,
Yeah.
A brief history of when I were a lad.
Well, all right, here we go.
Back in the day, 1987.
Buckle in.
The ink company in the UK, the majority of the ink company in the UK, was called Sericol, right? You couldn't buy ink that wasn't Sericol.
Yeah.
And Sericol was made in England, down in Broadstairs in Kent. And it was opaque. It was like your mixer pick that you've just bought. It was opaque. It was full of lead. It was highly dangerous and toxic. But it was bright as fuck, you know what I mean? It was opaque.
Yeah.
And then along come the Americans with a company called Wilflex, Genesis, New Beginning, and they guaranteed their ink to have what they call no build-up. So it's not pick-off, it's build-up.
All right, yeah.
Build-up is the deposit under the following screens that gets so thick it actually blocks the design and the image.
Yeah.
And this was part and parcel of printing, that every 100 or 80 shirts, depending on which mesh count and blade you got, you would have to stop and wash. We got into the routine of stopping and washing every 20 or 30 and doing an offset screen. And we got so quick and good at it that actually we didn't even realise it were an issue. Because it's just, it wasn't, I hope it doesn't build up. It's like, right, okay, which one's going to build up first? This one, right? Well, if I wash them all, there'll be too big a difference in that print to that print. So after 20, I'll wash this one. And then after another 20, I'll wash this one. And another 20, I'll wash this one.
It's a lot to manage,
we had time. We didn't do anything else except watch the machine go round. Well, 5 was on a press. So that was just accepted, and then Wilflex came along, and they were like, "Okay, we've got an ink that's guaranteed, not our ink don't build up, no build up." So we were trialing it, and we tested it, and we're like, "Fuck, it works." So we go to the boss and go, "Right, this ink, this is good ink. This from America." And it's like, well, first of all, we've got to get from America, so it's expensive, and secondly, it's about 30% more expensive than Sericol, and Sericol's made in England. We can get it straight away. And we fought the case to say, look, based on stoppage alone, based on press time alone, it'll pay for itself, even if it's 30% more expensive. So we made the switch to Wilflex, and it was life-changing. We would go a full day of 3,000 prints without washing the underside of the screen. So now all we had to worry about was pick-off, not build-up, pick-off. And pick-off was because the ink was so smooth and creamy and workable and printable, it had lost some of its opacity. So the colour's now going down on top, whereas before it could rip 30% off and we still get a bright ink. Now it's ripping 30% off. We're getting a see-through, especially on the blues, the dark blues, the marines, the aquamarines. And it became an issue. And the more strength you gave an ink, the more build-up you got.
Right.
So build-up was a byproduct of opacity. So to make it opaque, we made it build up. So Wilflex made it less opaque, milling it more times, making it smaller particles. And we lost some opacity, but we gained that continued printability.
Yeah.
Sericol then went, okay, we'll make ours no build-up. Call it Co Plus, and they put a sticker on top of every lid that said Co Plus technology, no build-up. Not guaranteed, just no build-up.
No build-up.
it was an out-and-out lie.
Exactly the same.
Like
Just put a
bitch.
sticker
It
on.
still builds up like a bitch. I'm sorry, anybody that's using Sericol, but you'll know what I mean. It still builds up like a bitch because of that inherent technology of being biased towards opacity rather than printability.
Right.
So when the inks came through that weren't as opaque but were more printable, we had to adapt our techniques then, increasing the opacity of the white, using different blades, using different angles. My very first hydraulic machine, I couldn't change the angle of anything. It was just set. And the speed was set as 1 bar.
Wow.
So I couldn't change anything. I had to be really just canny with blade selection and mesh selection. So it's a trade-off, a straight-up trade-off. And all those things are only relevant at high production.
Yeah.
If we can call manual production low production, then they're not important. So I can go back to my opaque inks.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter because I'm just going to make them look good. The printability, workability, the actual usage of the ink, it's not a high factor. It's not going to slow me down because I'm drying everything.
No. See, the question that popped into my head whilst you were sort of going over that was, am I
What's our on me fucking tirade?
Well, he was off. Well, he was off on one. Well, he was off on one. I might almost shoot myself in the foot a little bit because here I am trying out new inks, trying to find the most opaque ink, trying to find this mix opaque system or whatever, only to jump on an auto anytime soon, where that might actually be problematic. Might be the opposite of what I actually need. All right.
No, not in the beginning. No, I think it's very, very difficult to replicate how a manual prints on an automatic, and exactly the same. It's very difficult to replicate how an automatic prints on a manual. So, although I completely understand the logic behind what you're saying, should I be learning now? No, I don't think you can control the variables as tightly. And so when something doesn't work, you're not sure why it didn't work. Did it not work because I've picked the wrong colour order, or did it not work because I can't maintain a consistent 15-degree angle every time I print? Sometimes it's 18, sometimes it's 13. Because we're only squishy humans at the end of the day.
We're just humans. Yeah. So on an automatic, so the difference between automatic heads. Now, I saw a clip on Instagram of somebody's auto, and I was watching it squeegee, and let's just say this is screen.
Mm.
As it pulled the ink across the screen, it was going like this, it was going. Now, that's a really dramatic recreation of it. But basically, it would
just highlighted your Parkinson's, basically.
it would juddering. That's
it's called chatter. We call it chatter as the squeegee goes back and chatters, and it's usually 90% of the time it's just speed.
So not to do with having an electric head.
No, an electric head is based on resistance. So usually the more resistance calls for more power, and it normally increases the power if it gets to that point. But an electric-driven head, if it comes up against too much resistance, the voltage will peak and it will cut off as a safety switch, so as not to burn anything out.
Right.
So if we go too slow, as in we're not using enough inertia, enough constant moving force, then it's jumping against the resistance of the blade and the screen. And so we have to speed it up a little bit, and as we speed it up a little bit, it skims over the top. So we have to find that bite point, like a bite point on a clutch, where it doesn't stop, but it keeps moving, but it doesn't chatter.
Right. So I was under the impression that was basically air versus electric. So the print heads, the air-driven pneumatic print heads, the air you'll see judder, whereas on the AC-driven
The electric heads, you're probably more likely to see judder. Air-driven heads, they'll just stop.
Right.
Because there just isn't enough air pressure, because the air pressure tops out at 6 bar, so 80 psi. As soon as the resisting force is higher than 80 psi, it just stops, because it's got no more power to give. Whereas the electric motor can turn up the resistance, can turn up the demand for power until it reaches its maximum. And its maximum is higher than 80 psi. Plus 80 psi is when we have full airflow. If I have 8 heads all calling for air, at the same time, there's a chance of me losing some. And you know, we're sort of like squashing the air as well. So air in like a bicycle pump, it squashes a little bit. So you get a little bit of movement there as well. But
I feel like I might just
in the
upset
beginning,
some salesman. Sorry.
In the beginning, the air-driven heads were standard, normal, and because they were cheap, it was just a cylinder, really simple. And then somebody went, how about we put a motor on? Said, you'd have to put a motor on every one, and a control system, and a potentiometer to change the voltage, and then a backup system, and then a fuse, and then and everybody was like, it's going to be too expensive. But actually, it turned out to be the norm.
Oh, interesting.
The very first machines that I used had one drive shaft. So imagine an oval machine. This could lead on to a really interesting story, but I'm just deciding whether to sell it or not.
If you're having to think about it, yes.
An oval machine. I will tell it. An oval machine, right? And it only had one engine, one motor. This motor was connected on a bicycle chain.
Oh, wow.
that bicycle chain was connected to 2 shafts. Why 2? Well, one was feeding the front of the machine and one was feeding the back of the machine. So obviously these 2 shafts are going like that.
Yeah.
2 shafts, and each one drove the squeegee speed. Now, that means it's not controllable. I've only got one central sprocket going round.
Yeah.
I haven't got a gear system.
All right.
So
just basically one speed, no matter
sprocket, what. Drove all the squeegees forward, all the squeegees back, all the squeegees forward, all the squeegees back on a central sprocket connected to 2 shafts with a little gap in the middle. The gap in the middle is important.
Right.
So speed wasn't really something we could play with. Only when we got individual AC motors was speed became one of those things that we could play with. Trying to get a white to print slowly and a black to print fast. You know, on the big machines, we didn't have that option. Everything ran at the same fucking speed. And so we had to use a little bit more skill in that. But when you set up the press, this is where we're going with this. When you set up the press, it was a jumbo press. There has to be 2 people. The screens are so fucking big. You couldn't set up without a toolkit. So you need a Tommy T-bar, 8mm T-bar, sliding scales, clamps, nothing pneumatic whatsoever, completely and utterly manual and analog. And so you would be at the front and your guy would be at the back. So in this instance, my guy's at the back, stood on the centre column of the machine, and I'm at the front where the neck is, and I'm moving it left at the front, and he's moving right at the back. And we're constantly working with 1 screen, 2 screen, get to the next screen, and it was sort of like, just need to move the squeegees. So press the button to move the squeegees, just to roll them, and the 2 shafts going that way ate his foot.
Oh, fuck off.
So they sucked his foot down. Now, there's only about that much gap between the shaft and the base of the machine. So his foot just went in between 2 shafts, just went and got to his ankle. And he looked at me as I pressed the button, and I looked at him. I went, "Oh, did that get you?" He went, "Fucking did. My fucking foot's gone in the machine. Are you all right?" "Yeah, I'm fine, yeah.
He's all right?
Sure? "Yeah, I'm fine, yeah. See, it hurts, but I'm all right. Just need to get my foot out." Tried to pull his foot out, couldn't get his foot out. So I can't get my foot out. what do you mean? I think it's swelling up. He says, I can't get my foot out. If you need to get your foot out, you'd have to reverse the machine.
Oh, no, don't.
So it throws my foot back out. I'm not fucking pressing that button with your foot in it. But you'll have to do it. It's gone in. It's got to come out. It's just that my foot's swelling up a bit. Just got to do it quick. This is going to hurt. No, it'd be fine. It didn't hurt going in. It just hurts now a little bit. Just press the button. And I've got my finger on this button going, are you sure? We're both about 20 years old. And I'm like, are you sure? He went, yeah, just press it on it. Because it's gone that way. It sucked my foot in. If I go that way, it's going to throw my foot out.
Common sense says it'll chuck it out, yeah.
Well, it might hurt. It didn't hurt going in, Tony. Don't worry about it. I'm pulling now. Look, I'm pulling. I said, all right then, okay. And you have to press the button and just press it a little bit to make it go. So I pressed it a little bit to make it go, and his foot wasn't caught. So no, you've got to keep your finger on it, Tony.
Oh, fuck. I don't like this.
So I kept my finger on it, and it sucked his foot back up, threw it out, and shattered his ankle in about 55 different places. Fucking felt at floor, absolutely screaming in agony.
It's hurting me. Just thinking about it.
I
don't like it.
But I had to do it to get his foot out.
Oh.
But I didn't. I suppose I could have called an engineer. We could have taken the machine apart.
Just took it to
in
bits.
In the heat of the moment, I'm like, right, okay, you ready? Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh,
I never walked again.
Didn't he? Honestly,
He just broke. It broke his ankle. It smashed his ankle to bits. Absolutely smashed it because it had gone past his ankle bone. And then on way in, he hadn't felt it, but it cracked his ankle bone and it started to swell. And then on way back out, we had to crack his ankle bone again.
Ooh.
Don't know how I got to tell that story. Now, can you see why I'm debating whether I should tell it or not?
Oh, flipping out. Yeah, so printer head variables, speed variables. I wrote this note down. Moving on before I fucking vomit. I mean, maybe we should talk about auto safety because on the topic of going from manual to an auto, there are people out there who have got really badly hurt on autos. We know some, I mean, I don't know them personally or anything, but there is somebody very recently who got really hurt. We won't describe the story or say
I know
whatever.
people have been killed by machines.
Killed? I didn't know that. I'm having second thoughts now. Fucking hell.
Killed, yeah.
Wow.
In Far East, I've seen them get killed by machines. Yeah.
No way. That's not a fun
if
topic.
If this thing hits you on the head, it's going to hurt. If it squashes, like a guillotine. Don't forget, we've got an immovable force here and what could be 150, 200 kilograms of moving inertial force coming against you against a solid point. It's going to guillotine you, and squash you in half. I've squashed a kid in a machine, not just that one.
Yeah, but he probably deserved
I
it.
squashed a kid in a machine on his first day.
Oh, no way.
We were loading away for about 4 hours and basically just stepped into what I call the triangle of death. And as he stepped in to straighten the shirt out, I'm like, and it just hit him, squashed him, folded him in half. The force of it popped the pallet out of its rivets.
Oh, God.
The back screen popped out as well, and he moved about that far before the emergency bar kicked in, and he just dropped to the floor. I thought I'd killed him.
Yeah, I bet. Oh.
He was only 16. This is his first day of work.
God. Did he come back next day?
I said, let's go home.
Put some ice on it.
He only lived off road, and I was really panicking. I'm like, oh my God, I've killed him, God. And God, there's just a bit of bruising, and he was fine, he were all right. I'm like, look, don't work for the rest of the day. Go home, I'll pay you for the rest of the day. Don't worry about it. Come in tomorrow with your mum, and we'll go through all the procedure of filling in the accident book, getting your name, because I didn't even know his proper name and address. It was his first day. Before computers, we just used to write stuff down on the back of a fag packet.
Yeah.
So come in tomorrow, we'll go through it all. If you need to go to doctors, we'll take you to doctors. If you need to have time off, you can get paid time off. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Our main concern is you and your health. Yeah, okay, Tony, no worries. I'm going to go home and speak to my man. Never saw him again.
I'm not shocked. Not shocked to hear that. So let's talk about...
going back there, Mum.
Fuck that. I'll get my son down Asda, stack some shelves. Much easier.
Fuck your 12 quid board. I'm not going back.
I'll owe you. So let's talk about safety.
Yeah, when we
safety features.
When we install a
Go on.
press,
Yeah.
when we install a press, we highlight the safety features. Number one is the triangle of death. So the machine is fast, it's powerful, it's strong, it's dangerous, but it's not mobile. Okay, it can't chase you around the factory.
No.
If you don't enter its rotation, you are safe.
Yeah.
So what that means is the triangle of death is where you take, it's the slice of the pie where you take off and put on. That's really the only opportunity you will ever have to enter the circle of death is in that area there. And then we have to throw it back and remember we are printing £2 shirts. If it fucks up, it's £2. If you put your arm or your leg or your head in there, it's a hell of a lot of money. So the golden rule is just fucking leave it. One of the most dangerous things on an auto is a roll of tape. The roll of tape or a spray gun. And that's because we are more likely to drop a roll of tape or a spray gun into the circle of death, the triangle of death. And we're tempted to just nip down and pick it up. And just pick it up. And as we go like that, bang, off we go.
No, I don't want one. Change my mind. Now, you know, because you've seen my shop. I'm attempting to squeeze an auto into a real small space. Like I'm only doing this I'm doing it because I need to get onto an auto. I need this in my life just to progress my life. And I haven't really got the space for it, but I think I can just about squeeze a small auto in and make it work at least long enough until I can find a bigger space suitable for the, more suitable, and then I can get a bigger dryer and So really, what I'm attempting to do is borderline a little bit dangerous because it's squeezing an auto into a small space. Now, obviously, don't enter this triangle, but I believe they have like barriers.
Yeah, so you can't enter between the print heads without breaking a switch. So it's either a laser, a physical bar, a cable that unplugs. So all of the machines, no matter what manufacturer, it is impossible and illegal to enter the circle of rotation while the machine is in a production mode. And attempting to do so will physically cut power to the motor. So it's impossible to be stood in the circle of rotation and the machine move.
Right.
The only exceptions, which I saw 6 months ago, I went absolutely ballistic, and this is in Leicester, is if you nip underneath the safety barrier. And people still do it. People still do it, thinking it's faster to just nip underneath. I'll just nip under here and I'll just move this. And I went fucking ballistic when I saw it. Uneducated areas of the world, the machines that I work on have a secondary safety level, a higher safety level, which will allow zero rotation at all without a key. And the guy with the key is fully trained. Because they will. I was in China and I was scraping the ink in, around the squeegee. And I do this while the squeegee's moving. It's just, I've lived around them for 35 years.
Yeah.
They just lean in, scrape the squeegee, turn the ink over, job done. And the foreman pulled me up. He said, "You can't do that." I said, "No, don't worry about me. I'm fine. I've been doing this for years. If it catches me, it's my fault." He went, "No, you don't understand. These will see you and
think it's all right."
Yeah, they were nuts, honestly. And lo and behold, next to me is a girl leaning into the press, but not making any judgment of when it's going to move or not. And she's leaning in, scraping the ink, and she's going to get caught. I'm like, oh fuck no, don't do that.
I don't like it.
I'll tell you another one then. If you don't like it, we'll keep going. This is in Leeds. The Austrian machines were brought out as one of the safest machines in the world. They couldn't be moved if the barrier was broken. They had all sorts of safety features built into them. There were lights, there were beeps, there were all sorts. It's impossible to hurt yourself on these presses.
Right.
Unless you're from Leeds. Some guy up in Morley who decided, as the squeegee comes forwards and backwards, it hits a sensor. So this sensor It comes forward, it hits the sensor, and it stops. And it comes back, and it hits the sensor, and it stops. And that's what it does. And the sensor's shaped like that. Well, my guy decided to put his thumb in there.
Why?
It was moving the sensor, and as it came forward, it guillotined his thumb clean off.
Honestly.
And to this day, MHMs have a little sticker on saying, "Don't put your finger in here." And they've moved the handle so that it's now not even an option. And I still claim fame to that happened in Morley.
Yeah.
To one of my guys who just lost the end of his finger clean off.
Jeez, what a dangerous business.
I've had loads of. I hurt someone on a manual.
On a manual? What? Just like, to be fair, I was smashing my mammy head with a screen.
That's what I did. Little woman that was helping me was called Wilma. Wilma was lovely, but she was about 4'2", and it was great because when I spun this, routine pressing, going like this, bang, 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 bang.
Did she turn up to work in a log when she'd run with you? With a fucking dinosaur chasing her.
I'm throwing these screens left and right, thinking I'm going really good, and she's keeping up with me. She's loading, and I'm going like this, and I'm printing, and I'm throwing the screen. Well, centrifugal force, if you spin it really fast, the screens that are up like that,
they do come down a little bit, don't they? Yeah.
I was missing the top of her head because she's only little. I'm thinking, I'm doing really well at this, and I hit it a little bit hard, and as it spun, it came down and just clouted her outside of Swede and just knocked her out on the floor. Oh, God, I've killed Wilma.
Fucking hell, killed another. I'm running out of space.
I was like 17 years old, thinking I'm really good, going really, really fast. You slow down.
Dangerous game.
Over, don't you know?
Well, yeah, I'm physically very slow nowadays. I can't spin shit that fast no more. It's just gone. Which actually, when we were saying, you sort of joked, the only thing it saves is your biceps. That's enough. That's enough for me now. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it will speed up production for me a lot, but if it saves me arms, I'm all right with
that. Yeah. Risk killing somebody, but it's all right. It's fine.
Yeah. So something that you said about 10 minutes ago, which I picked up on. Yeah, variable print head speeds. So you would run prints, and depending on the colour, you might have a different speed, depending on the print colour. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So can you give me like an example of why you would do that?
So you remember my sliders?
Yep.
One of those is speed. Now, although speed is important, I give it around about 2%. So changing the mesh, stepping the mesh down from a 77 to a 43, I can get roughly 60% more ink down.
Yeah.
So you could say I can change the amount of ink that gets pushed through the holes to a value of plus or minus 60% by changing the mesh.
Yeah.
Now, when we come to the blade, changing the blade from a super soft to a really hard, I can probably change the amount of ink that gets pushed through the holes about 25 to 30%.
Right.
We come to speed. Changing the speed from super slow to super fast, I can change the amount of ink that gets pushed through the holes to a value of about 2%.
Yeah. Right,
so although it's a factor, it's a very small factor.
It's the smallest of the bunch.
It's the smallest of them. It makes the least amount. And I often say to people when it comes to speed, the only person that benefits from a faster squeegee speed is the owner.
Right. Okay.
He's the only person that benefits. The customer doesn't benefit, the printer doesn't benefit, the print doesn't benefit. The only person that benefits from a fast squeegee speed is actually the owner, because he's getting more prints per hour. But there is a maximum speed of which you can use a rubber blade skimming over a polyester mesh to shear, to cut a liquid plastic paste. If you go too fast, you skim over the top.
Yeah.
And you're no longer
you just
cutting.
leave it in mesh.
So we have to go slow. And for me, as slow as possible is best.
Yeah. So you could
and
get
we
like
have
a
to, certainly for plastisol, slow.
yeah. So let's just say you're thinking, well, I need to put. You could take normally you would use a 77. You can bring it down to a 43.
Yeah.
So you put quite a bit more ink down,
Yeah.
which means you can then speed up your squeegee. So
Yeah.
you're almost saying, right, well, I'm going to use a more open mesh, so that I can reduce the amount of ink that goes through by speeding it up. But you're kind of like, losing quality that way. You're better off just doing it in reverse. Use as high a mesh as you can, a 90, slow the squeegee down, just do the job properly, and you'll get a better print quality as a result.
Yeah. And certainly when it comes to plastisol white, minimum speed is best, and that's where you'll see your squeegee chatter and your squeegee jumping. That's mainly when we're on plastisol white. So the plastisol white gives the most resistance, so it's pushing back against the squeegee the most. It doesn't want to go through the holes. It's like a stubborn teenager. It wants to stay on the top of the screen and don't want to move. So we have to use more force slowly to push it through the holes.
I guess you know what.
Pull it through the holes.
Pull. I guess it boils down to this. Imagine push printing and calling yourself a consultant. I think it probably all boils down to this, right? Push. Look, in an ideal world, everybody would just go as slow as possible. But in a production environment, and the owners of these companies, they want stuff in and out of doors as fast as possible. So the natural way of doing things is, turn it up, put more pressure down, turn it up, put it down. But you're just costing yourself. You're better off just doing it in reverse. I've lost where I'm going with that. I'm going to cut that out because I had a point and it's gone. Yeah. We're going to come to a point and I've just lost it.
You're right.
I've thrown me off with me subtle dig.
Yeah, no, it came out of nowhere either. I don't know where that came from.
I've thrown myself off.
No, you're right. You actually end up causing more problems by going too fast, which inevitably reduces the number of pieces you can do per day. So it's the rabbit, the tortoise and the hare. Less speed, more haste. It's sometimes going too fast can be crazy. Being able to control the speed is a great variable to be in control of, especially when we ink type changes and we go to water based, and all of a sudden pushing Aquaflex V2 through a 43 mesh, I can now afford to put my squeegee up to 50% of the speed. Whereas if I swap that out for plastisol, I have to reduce that down to 5% of the speed.
Yeah, because there's way more resistance.
To the ink.
Yeah.
Because there's no resistance in the sloppy ink.
When I'm browsing Instagram, every now and again you will see a print shop go, oh, fucking hell, popped another screen on an auto. So what is it that's causing screens to pop on autos? The obvious thing for me is obstructions like zippers. Every now and again, oh shit, I forgot there's a zipper. Or there'll be something inside a hoodie like a metal ring, or you know what I mean? That it just catches. But is there anything else?
What a good question. I'm quite impressed.
Because you see screens popping all the time, don't you?
Yeah, so...
not all the time, but regularly.
In the same way that you'll pop screens, which is just, thinner threads, more fragile, higher tension, housekeeping, banging them together, things like that, you've got that. Then you've got contaminants in the ink. So right. I was at a place last week, and the guy dropped a litre of ink, water-based, on the floor.
Right.
He then scraped it back in. The ink and put it back into the tub, and I just caught him just before I put it in there. Whoa. It's all right. The floor was clean. Let's just run it through a mesh. What? Just get me a piece of old mesh. Get a piece of old mesh and just pull it through a piece of old mesh. Have a look at what's left inside, and there you'll see the little stones and little bits and pieces that could contaminate. So that's one, contamination. Number two, like you say, is zippers, buttons, pockets, giving a constant pressure in the same place, because we're now we're not changing where the squeegee starts and stops. It's going in the same place every time. It's always pressing down at the same pressure. And then the most common, which is crazy because it's such an obvious one. And one of my first consultations ever back in 2019, the guy wanted me to find something that would cover the cost of my consultation. And
I
found it straight away. It was the bust screens, the rack of bust screens.
Yeah.
Like 15, 20 a day. Why? And they were all busting in the same place. And when you look at the same place, it's the edge of the squeegee. It's there. When even manually, you're within. Let's say you're accurate and you're within 5 mil every stroke.
Yeah.
That means no two strokes are landing in the same place successively. You've got a spread of 5. So if you've got 1,000 pieces, only 200 are hitting in the same place every time. Well, when that is an immovable constant,
perfect every
then
time,
that squeegee is getting rubbed in exactly the same place 1,000 times.
Yeah.
No variation, not even a 0.5 mil variation. So physically wearing away of the polyester mesh. It's only polyester. These meshes are not made out of steel.
Yeah.
They're made out of polyester. And we're rubbing away at them on a 75 blade with plastisol ink. We're adding heat into the equation as well, and then we're putting an abrasive bag or Gildan sandpaper against them. You're going to get some physical abrasion. So number one cause of bust screens is the soggy thing.
Right.
Number 2 is physical abrasion.
Yeah. Right.
Number 3 is bad luck and not praying to the squeegee gods every night.
Yeah, sometimes it's just shit luck, innit?
It's just shit luck, yeah. It's just got fucking unlucky.
Yeah, somebody leaves a quid in pocket or something daft.
Not from Yorkshire, the one. Maybe 10 pence.
No, no chance. Hey, gosh. Well, I feel like we've had a good roundup of going from manual to auto. I'm sure there's a lot that we've missed, but over the coming, hopefully, month or two, as I work my way through this process, I'm sure we'll touch on things. But this is all fingers crossed. I'm hoping this is going to happen. Nothing set in stone just yet, but it looks like it will be in my future near, hopefully very soon.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
I
feel like
I think it's the way forward, and
I have to do it now. It's got to happen. Apart from that, I've got my hopes up. So
get off the pot.
Yeah. So would I be able to interest you in a Danny's inspiring post of the week?
Yeah, absolutely. Bring it on.
Oh, good. Because I'm going to show you anyway.
Is this just to get you sharing? Because you missed your share this week.
Yeah.
Share screen.
Yeah, got to do one, haven't I?
Yeah.
I should probably open it first, Inspiring post of the week. I forgot to do one last week, didn't I? So I've got one for you this week, which is not opening.
I hope it's not one of mine.
Oh, have you got one? Oh, no, right, yeah, one of your posts, I'm going to say. Inspiring post of the week. So can you see this? Because my screen's disappeared. I can't see a thing. Oh, now you can see.
Our manual press, hell of a bit of a kit.
Right, so
Is that your Riley?
That is my first. Well, it's actually my second manual. I'm a little bit inspired by my own post this week because I felt like cheating. But it's nice to look back and see how far I've come. So actually, my very first manual screen printing press was a Riley Hopkins silver tabletop press. And I bought it and it turned up and none of the pieces fit together. It had been manufactured wrong. Somehow, as simple a press as it gets, they've welded one of the pieces in wrong position so you couldn't use it. So I sent it back and Dave kindly says, "Oh, well, I'll tell you what, we've got this workhorse. You can have that if you want." I said, "Oh, really? That's really good of you. Yeah, it'll be an extra $2,000. So anyway, I ended up with that chuffer.
Dave Groper.
And yeah, Dave Roper. So that's where I bought my first press off Dave. It was silver. I didn't say that word. And that was it. That was my first manual. It was a bit wonky. All bolts on it were loose. I didn't know any better. I would have guessed short of $2,000. I would guess.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I seem to remember 1,800 being a figure in my head.
Is that the same place you're at now?
No, so that is my very first shop, which was in a business centre. And ironically, this business centre, I'm sure all towns have business centres where they have units which are supposed to help start-up businesses, get into and provide a space for them. I mean, how they are helping with the rent prices, I don't know, because I actually paid more for that than I pay for this place that I'm in right now. But anyway, that's another story. So yeah, that was my first ever manual.
I want you to know your hashtags are a bit interesting.
Flipping sweet screen printing.
Sweet screen printing, and it's like by Inky Inky Winky or something.
Inky Winky Winky. What Teletubbies? Bang into it. That posted terrible. 10 likes.
Inky Winky.
Inky Winky. I don't know. That when that was, I wish I'd have looked. I found it. That must have been 2013. So 10 years actually. 10 years ago. That.
Yeah.
Now I think the best part about it is I don't know if you can see my mouse.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you can actually. That's where I used to wash my screens. That sink. And when I left, Plastisol. I did attempt water-based whilst I was in here at one point, but that whole corner, by the time I left, it was just black thick with like ink and Plastisol and emulsion and crap. And I had to get like acid to try and clean this sink before they'd let me leave. So I made a bit of a mess. But yeah, I just thought a bit of a throwback. Nice to see how far I've come. Because if you're listening and you're like me, some people I don't appreciate anything I've done. I don't appreciate it. I always feel underwhelmed of how far I've come like that. And it's hard to feel. I guess the word's proud. I don't feel proud in the slightest. I feel underachieved, and I find it hard to take pride in what I've done. But really, in the long, in the scheme of things, if I look at this picture and look at what I've got now and what's due to come in the near future, it's night and day. And I think of what I was back then, how I used to print, and how little I knew compared to now. It's ridiculous. Like it's a whole other level.
Forget, don't we? We forget sometimes how far we've come. We're constantly looking at what we haven't got. We forget what we have got. Yeah. So I quite like today's inspirational post, Danny. Well done.
Do you enjoy that? Oh, I'm good, because it was a bit of a shit. I've not found out what can I do.
I like that. It's inspired me to have a look at some of mine.
Yeah, have a look back. It's quite cool. Well, I'll tell you what, then the challenge for next week's episode is you have to show me one of yours.
Oh, fuck. Right, okay.
So that was inspirational post of the week.
Pictures aren't digital. I've been around that long.
You'll have to get
a bonus print. A bonus print when you used to get them developed in 48 hours and get a free copy.
Yeah, well, just come in with a little. What we used to have those like brown strips. Just hold it up to the camera.
Some negatives, yeah.
Bloody negatives. So that was my inspirational post of the week. Would you now like to hear my fun fact of the week?
Okay.
Because we have had world's most expensive T-shirt, the first ever merchandise print, etc. We've had a few, haven't we? I found an article which I thought was fun. I'm going to show you it. And here we go. So, fun article of the day, fun fact of the day. Giant T-shirt, world's biggest T-shirt. So this giant T-shirt made out of recycled plastic waste from around 2,000 bottles has entered the Guinness World Book of Records, measuring 97.5 metres by 70.8 metre and weighed a whopping 4,000 kilogram. Now, I'll be honest, I couldn't deadlift it. The T-shirt, constructed in India by the Plast India Foundation, an apex body which works with companies and government to create awareness on the need to manage and recycle plastic waste. So that's fun, isn't it? I thought that was a nice, light-hearted bit of trivia to share with our listeners. How do you feel about this?
Are you on Wild Things post there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Do you know them? I've never heard of them. This is the first time it just popped up. Wild Things, branded clothing, merchandise, and print experts.
Yeah.
There you go. Bit of free exposure for you there.
Yeah.
We'll send you an invoice. Don't you worry. Did you enjoy that?
I did. Enjoyed that, yeah. Big t-shirts.
Good.
Yeah.
Big t-shirts. Right, big massive I mean, you couldn't wear it, could you?
No,
it's a bit of a...
Not comfortable.
Bit of a false claim, isn't
I
it?
think I'm growing into it.
I enjoyed that. That was fun. That was a good one. I think that's me done, Tony. I've got more, but I feel like we've had an hour 30. I feel like if we keep the main body of the episode to manual versus auto, and let's not stray off
mainly
onto
manual
another
versus
topic.
auto. I've kept quiet for a change. I think it's been a good episode. I think you've done well there, Daniel.
Oh, thanks. I'll try. I'll try to
We could do with a
contribute
bit
more
of
often.
preparation. Look.
I know. I only did this in about 10 minutes before we started.
No, we did good. We're gonna sign it off there. My phone has absolutely blown up while I've been on here, so some sort of crisis has happened somewhere. And I will. I don't know what, but I will. We'll sign off. So it's basically the end of this episode. You have been listening to Chippy Tea podcast with me, Tony P, and
Danny D from Flipping Sweet Print Co.
If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, if you're interested at all, and you can filter out the sound of the bin men outside my house.
I wonder what that was.
If you can filter out the sound of the seagulls, Rocky Robin, the dog barking, next door neighbour having a Barney, then, be as professional as us. And like and subscribe, tell your friends. We're loving the popularity, the feedback, the positiveness that's coming from these. We and Danny constantly get little notes which are sort of like, oh, thanks for the podcast. It were great. Loved this week's episode. You've no idea what that does to mine and Danny's fragile egos. We do love to hear it. So if you like what you hear, then just drop us a note, tell your friends, post it on your social medias. We don't mind you copying and pasting us. We'd love it. And if there's anything you want to know or hear about, I do a regular feature in Images magazine, the industry magazine, called Ask Tony, and I'll throw it right open here. If you've got a question that you want answering, just drop a DM into mine, into Danny's, into Images magazine, Rachel at Images, and let us know if there's a question that you want covering. We'll do the topics.
Yeah. So, what was the most recent question?
We shall sign off with.
Oh, go on then.
My most recent question, the one I've just answered. How do you stop the spiral of doom?
All right. Well, I've not had that magazine yet, but when it comes, I shall show you on Instagram stories.
I did it yesterday.
All right. That's probably why I've not seen it then.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And with that, we shall say, I'll see you.
All best. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.